stand because I think better when I'm standing. Wow, the light's really bright. I feel like I'm in like heaven or something. Why is it like, why is it so bright? Try to behave in chat. Not too much copy pastas. Please?
I've got you in my sights.
I'm watching. Alright guys, let's do this.
Can you feel it? The same breeze that caresses our skin carries my arrows to their
target. Yes, another Lyn alt. So for those of you guys that don't know, I actually pretty much predicted this happening in my predictions video previously. I'm honestly surprised that they would release it so soon, but we do actually have a Wind Green Archer Bolin, which is exactly what I predicted, and it's pretty amazing that, you know, it's Lyn. Like, Lyn's one of my favorite characters. She did canonically use a bow in her Fire Emblem game, so it makes sense. It's supposed to be like her promoted kind. This is the first time we're getting a colored archer. It's also an interesting thing to note because colored archers are the first source of range color physical damage, unlike everything else which has been magical damage. So this unit type is indeed unique, just like most legendary heroes that have come before it. I'd say the only like legendary hero that hasn't really been that unique has been like legendary Ike. But he came with Warding Breath, I guess. So she gives the attack stat. You can see that any wind heroes that she's a part of, wind blessed heroes, will get attack, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Again, Wendy Lee's voicing her, and I think the art pretty similar to Brave Lyn, but at least she's not on a horse, right? Alright, so we're looking at some skill sets here. Rally Defense Res, this comes off Roderick, nothing too special. Swift Mulligan. Okay, so this is kind of like a wall of text. I'll make sure that I explain this the best I can for those of you guys that do end up getting her or fight against her. This is kind of the opposite of Ephraim's effect, legendary Ephraim's effect. She wants to be around friends to maximize the stats that she gets. It's also similar to the laws of Sakai and Swift Mulligan. So basically it says if the number of allies within 2 spaces of her, not including yourself, has, you know, basically if you have more friends than enemies attacking you, you gain extra attack and speed. Now if you look at laws of Sakai, you want them to attack you, and again, as long as you have more friends than enemies, you get a bunch of stats, which is incredible. Like, she gets 9 attack, 9 speed, 4 defense, and 4 res, baiting out enemies, and that's huge. So she's meant to be like an enemy phase archer, which is cool. Definitely something that makes her kind of good in this aspect, especially once we look at the stats later. I'll show you what this means, but generally you don't want to be using her as a player phase unit just based on her default kit. If you stick with the default kit, then yeah, use her as an enemy phase unit and you're going to be fine. You'll see right away though that she comes with Desperation, and that's not ideal for an enemy phase unit. You're going to want to probably change that out for like Quick Riposte or Guard 3 are really good options. Vantage could work as well considering all the extra attack you get on her, especially with merges and such. So this will be cool. One thing to note is since this is called Mulligan and the name is called Swift, we can actually expect that the Brave version, Brave Lyn, should be able to upgrade her Mulligan into a Swift version, and that's kind of cool because then that means you can make some enemy phase Brave Lyns as an alternative build as well. The first units come with Speed Tactic. This again is to be expected. We were expecting the Speed Tactic to come out eventually. She does come with it. I don't think most people will be foddering for that, but nonetheless, it finally completes the mixed team comps, and Speed Tactic allows you to run her in Blade teams really well, especially if you have, like, you know, horses and flyers and such, and she gives a bonus to attack as well, so it's going to be huge, the amount of stats you can give to a Blade Tome user, plus you can abuse the Wind Blessings as well if she happens to be on the team to provide those buffs. So overall, decent kit other than Desperation, should be by default able to be used as an enemy phase unit. Nifty animation as well. Yeah, they even showed off the animation by hitting that unit. So here's some of those units showing up now. We're gonna just let them play. And you'll see that I predicted most of them. Yeah, Jacob, Halloween Henry, Makaya, again, this is the blue unit I thought would show up here. Horse Erica, I did think that at some point she would show up, and it is just about time. We got Fallen Celica, Legendary Ephraim, and of course Female Grima showing up again. What does this mean? Well, there's our selection of units, and just like every Legendary Banner, if you don't know the math behind it, be careful when targeting specific units. We'll talk about the math in a little bit. I just want to make sure that we talk about the actual units themselves first. For those of you that saw my predictions video, you know that I basically predicted 9 out of 12 of these units, including the Legendary Hero herself. So that's pretty awesome. We'll continue to make those predictions as accurately as possible. One thing to notice here, looking at a lot of these units, is that when you're looking at the colors themselves, you got to consider that you don't want to necessarily target specific units, you just want to be happy with the selection of units you get. So what does this mean? It means that this banner is really high quality for those of you that actually don't have the units. So what I'm looking at here is like specifically Inigo and Shigure are dancers, right? And they are not good units to get multiple copies of because they don't come with anything as fodder that is really useful. As you guys know, they come with these unique like dance skills, and those aren't really that good because they take up the B spot, which takes Wings of Mercy away as an option. And emerges don't really scale too well on dancers because they already have low stats, and yeah, it's not so good to be getting, you know, blue and green will not be that good to pull unless you don't already have these dancers, and even if you pull aggressively, you're just going to end up being disappointed by getting multiple copies of these units where they don't engage in combat for the merges that you give them. It's just, you know, it's just not going to be that good, especially considering they're sharing colors with really good units like the new Lyn and Legendary Ephraim. Yeah, you get more than one copy and you'll get disappointed. So be very careful targeting specific units. Be very careful. On the other hand, you have units like Halloween Henry and Halloween Jacob, which are very, very powerful with merges. But you got to realize they're not in the permanent pool, so they're very hard to get. They have a power cap to how good they can be, and they're very expensive to build because their default kits are very bad and they don't have good fodder. So even if you get multiple units of these, again, what are you gonna like fodder off? Bracing Blows, Spectral Tomes. Armor March is pretty good on Henry, but other than that, it's like, you know, these units scale really well with high investment, and that means that getting multiple copies of them, again, doesn't really matter because all they're going to do is collect dust on the Arena Sol bench, or possibly not really used for arenas if you're going for like tier 20 because they have a maximum score cap because you're not able to add merges like you could from a permanent pool. We won't see them likely again until Halloween, for instance. If you like one of these units and you really want to make them as part of your core seasonal unit specifically, we know from the spring banner that they do rerun them, so save your orbs for Halloween where you want to make like a +10 Jacob or a +10 Henry if that's your intended goal. So if you're a new player, definitely a good idea. All these colors have something good to offer. If you're an older, you've been playing for a long time, actually the best color here to pull from, in my opinion, would be red. Red has good fodder overall. It has Legendary Ike for merges if you want to increase your scoring, or Warding Breath. SM Erica here has Swift Sparrow, so Sparrow's always pretty good. And then you have Chill Speed coming from Fallen Celica. So overall, red has like, there is no dud. Erica maybe if you don't have a use for Swift Sparrow, but generally Swift Sparrow is pretty good. So red seems to be the safe bet when it comes to summoning here, but otherwise the other colors have duds after more than one copy. So if you're a new player, good banner. If you're not, careful, especially if you're targeting specific units where you will likely be disappointed. We'll look at the math in a bit, but I wanted to make sure I touch on every single color. Overall though, red is the way to go if you're an older experienced player. New, roll for everything, maybe with an emphasis on blue and green because they have the dancers. Again, 1st of May, 5 days. Okay. So let's take a look at Lyn's stats. Let's talk about what she can do, and then we'll look at some of the math behind it. Okay, so we have Lyn here. We want to be looking at the level 40 version right here of Lyn and the stat spread that she comes with. Lyn has a pretty interesting stat spread. I think you can mostly compare her to Klein, perhaps. Perhaps you could compare her to Klein, or maybe like Setsuna or Summer Gaius. Those seems like pretty comparable comparable like units to compare to, just because she has fairly low attack but high speed. So if you're going to compare it to those units, it looks really good. Now, when we talked about the actual stats though, guys, she can be used as an enemy phase unit or possibly a player phase unit with a Brave Bow like quad set with Desperation. So she comes with Desperation. It means that making that sort of build could be very possible. And the thing is though that Laws of Decay is made for enemy phase, so you'd have to switch that out for like Swift Sparrow or Life and Death or Fury perhaps. It depends what you really want to go with, how much speed you get. But what it really shines in Lyn is that she's actually an enemy phase unit, and able to get so much attack is really good with her base kit. It doesn't require high investment. The only real changes you would make here are probably like Quick Riposte B, Guard if you want to prevent some kind of shenanigans. You could even run her with Close Counter. Close Counter is pretty good considering her stat spread. And if you had something like Guard and B, Close Counter Guard, and like Close Defense, considering all the stats she gets from her default bow, she'd be okay. I know Laws of Decay would counteract with Close Counter, so you're losing a little bit of bulk, but if you had some allies possibly giving you like Drive Defense, Spur Defense, or you know, just Home Defense, you're gonna be able to tank, you know, pretty well in the face with this sort of Lyn, just based on her actual stats. Now the thing is, her Swift Mulligear does actually have res 3 as well, so she's gonna have 30 res, which makes her a very good mage bait as well. And there's a couple options with those sort of builds, but that's definitely what I'd recommend. Maybe just keeping her default kit, changing out the B, giving her Distant Defense seal, or Quick Riposte seal as well, and just going from there with maybe Guard in the B, and she'll do her job fairly well. We don't have a really updated mathematical thing to look at here when it comes to Legendary Banner from this one yet, but we do have this one from the previous banner, which we can use as kind of like an estimate approximation of what to expect for the current Legendary Banner. And some of you really need to take this to heart, because you have to understand that targeting specific units on Legendary Banners usually leads to disappointment, okay? So there's two types of criteria when it comes to pulling on Legendary Banners. Legendary Banners are really good value, you can get tons of 5 stars, but the effect, the way you go for specific ones will not be good, okay? So look at this, for example. If you wanted to go for, let's say, green, which is Lyn being here, targeting specific greens is difficult because you'll see that the average is 173 orbs. This is from the previous one, but it'll be relatively close. For you to get maybe if you really got, you know, you had some bad variance and bad luck, it could take you about 390 orbs to get just Lyn. It could take you more. But if you're 1 in 10 people, that's what 90th means, 90th percentile. That means up to 90% of people get, you know, Lyn up to 390 orbs. The median, 123, this means that 1 in 2 people spend about 123 orbs to get Lyn. See, that's very detrimental. If you haven't been saving orbs for a while or spend a lot of money, you could be at risk if you don't educate yourself on these sort of mathematics. Now, any unit, this is where the value of Legendary Banners truly lie, and why I recommend that if you pull, you be comfortable with every color being there. You need to be comfortable with every single color, every unit from a color. You don't have to be comfortable with every color. You can snipe maybe 2 colors, get some discount on your orbs as you pull for 4, or you know, a full circle is actually the way to go if you want to really get as many 5 stars as you can. But look at this. So cost to pull. Basically 43 orbs. It means that 58 orbs on average, 43 for every second person. It means that you spend, you know, about 58 orbs and you'll get a 5-star of any green. And this is really good stuff to take in mind, because if you're comfortable with any of the greens, so basically if you want Inigo, Halloween Henry, or Lyn, and you don't care, you know, which one you get, then it is good value for you to pull a color. And that's what you have to consider when doing this. Of course, if you're really unlucky, even so, 127 orbs, 1 in 10 people can spend that much and they will get disappointed. But that's still not as bad as, let's say, a specific 3% banner, which is why you have to be walking into this comfortable with how, you know, what kind of, what you want from the focus colors. So the thing is, green is actually the best. Green has historically always been the best when it comes to pulling focus units, because their pull is less saturated with units in general, and then red is actually the hardest to get specific units from. So you'll see, if you look at the average for reds, you have something like 207. If you look at the average for greens, it's about 173. These numbers will be up or down a little bit because it's based on a previous banner, but again, you have to keep in mind this is how it works, that targeting units on legendary banners could be very detrimental for your expectations. You could end up spending a lot of money that you didn't plan to, or spending a lot more orbs than you initially thought you would. So hopefully that helped out some of you guys, and me personally, I'm going to likely be skipping this banner because my main account doesn't necessarily want some of the units here. I don't want Inigo, I don't want Shigure, I don't want Halloween Jacob merges, I don't want Halloween Henry. So for me, there's kind of like the only real color here that I would pull for would be red, but I'd rather just save my orbs and maybe wait for the next legendary banner where I might want like female Grima merges, or maybe, you know, maybe Takumi comes back. We'll see what happens. Either way, look forward to the next legendary banner predictions, probably in about 2 to 3 weeks. We'll do another one for the late May one, and then we'll also do our analysis. The best thing you can do is be patient, because Lyn will come back, guys. Just like female Grima did, just like legendary Ico, just like Fiorm, all of them will come back. So don't ride the hype right away. Maybe it's a good idea to wait, and if you don't need these units, just be patient. Okay guys, thanks for watching. Peace.